everyone. Today is officially day one in Porto and I'm already so in love with this place. So I actually got here yesterday and had a very chill and laid back day. Did a free walking tour and kind of got acquainted with the city, learned a bit about the history, and the walking tour itself was really nice and a great way to get to know the city. After that I tried this dish called the Francesinha, which is a meat-based dish, but I tried the vegetarian version and I don't know if I liked it, to be honest, but it's definitely worth trying while you're in Porto. But anyway, I'm in Porto for the next 3 days and I'm so excited to be here because I've heard amazing things about the city, and I mean, look at how beautiful this is. So right now I'm in this area called Ribeira, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This is sort of like the old part of Porto, and behind me the bridge that you see is called the Dom Luís Bridge. If you Google Porto, this bridge is what shows up, so it's one of the most popular spots here, and the vibe here is just amazing. There are so many restaurants, there's live music and these amazing views. So I'm in Porto for the next three and a half days, and in Portugal for the most part I'm actually traveling with one of my high school friends. I think it's really cool that in my 30s I'm actually traveling with so many of my high school friends. I do have a couple of solo days here in Porto as well, where hopefully I'll catch up on work and just chill in the city. But the city is just so vibrant and the vibe is amazing. Something really nice about Porto is that it's a very walkable city. Anywhere you want to go to will probably be in a 30 to 40 minute radius. So it's very nice to just walk around, but it is very steep and slopey. So you may have to walk up and down hills, which is a bit challenging, especially with my knee. But something that's really surprised me, not just about Porto, but Portugal in general, because I felt this in Lisbon as well, is that taxis here are so inexpensive. Especially if you're a group of 2 or more people, it may just make more sense to take a taxi instead of using public transport. One of the most emblematic representations of Porto's history are these blue tiles that you see all over the city. There are so many buildings with different types of blue tiles, and they're called azuelos, and not just in the bigger, more famous buildings like cathedrals and stuff, but even in regular houses you can spot them, and it looks so beautiful. In fact, that's actually a popular souvenir that you can buy over here because there are so many stores where you can pick up tiles. Doing some souvenir shopping. Something you have to do when you're in Porto is explore the food scene here. Porto is really famous for some of its dishes like the Francesinha, which I tried the other day, and a lot of seafood. But because I'm vegetarian, there aren't too many local Portuguese dishes that I can try. So right now I've come to a vegan cafe. There are lots of really nice vegan cafes here in Porto. So I'm at this place called Apuro, and the food I've ordered for myself is looking very good. So I'm super excited for this meal. Porto surprisingly seems to be really good for shopping, and I don't mean the usual stores that you see everywhere, but there are so many vintage stores. This street in particular had some really cool, very niche stores that I really enjoyed. Unfortunately, because I'm doing a long trip, I think this is going to be a 2-3 month long trip. I don't think I can shop too much because I'm already overweight on my luggage allowance. So fun fact about Porto, especially if you're a Harry Potter fan, is that J.K. Rowling actually used to live somewhere here in Porto, in this neighborhood actually, and in the back there's a famous library which apparently inspired a lot of what Hogwarts looks like. I'm not sure how true it is, but that library is really popular here. There's always a long line to enter, and there's also an €8 fee, I think, to get in. I wanted to check it out, but looking at the line, I really don't think I want to go inside. But a lot of things in Porto, including that library, and apparently the uniforms of college students here with the black robes, was inspiration for Harry Potter. And coincidentally, I'm actually wearing Harry Potter socks today. I think this is one of the nicest viewpoints in the city. How stunning is this view? So for lunch, I've come to a really nice spot. It's right by the water. This is my view. There's live music going on over here, and I've gotten myself some nachos, and I've gotten myself a Porto tonic, which is quite a popular cocktail here. It's basically port wine, white port wine, and I can see orange, cinnamon, and there's tonic. That lunch was so good. The nachos were delicious. The salad was really nice too. And I think the highlight was definitely the spot we were at because there was live music and the Porto tonic was really nice. So honestly, it's been a very like laid back and chill afternoon. But right now, since we're by the river, we thought we'll do a boat tour. So there are tons of boat tours here, like different companies running them. And there are 6 big bridges here in Porto, and these boats take you sort of under those bridges. So I thought that might be nice to check out. So heading to do a boat tour now. This is our boat and it's not very full, thankfully, and we paid like 18 euros per person for this. This is like a 50-minute boat ride, and the lighting right now, because it's almost evening, is really nice. The water looks amazing, so I'm really excited for this boat tour.
First, we can see the Infant Don Enrique Bridge.
Just got done with the boat tour and the views were amazing. It was only 50 minutes, so it felt like it got over really fast. But we went under the 6 bridges, which are all quite close to each other. But the boat ride was a great way to like see the city from the water and get a different perspective, and the views were just amazing. But right now, the sun is going to set in a couple of hours, so I want to get on top of that bridge and cross over to the other side because I've heard there's a really nice viewpoint from where you can catch the sunset. So hopefully the sunset today is nice. So just took this bridge and came over to the other side, and this side of the city, this is no longer Porto actually, it's a different city called Gaia, and I'm just walking uphill to this garden which has an amazing viewpoint of the sunset. But all of Porto and Gaia as well is quite steep, so there is a lot of like climbing up and down.
Sua mãe me ligou contando uma história que a chuva levou todo equipamento, só deixou as roupas do varal, os limão do quintal e a pasta impermeável.
That sunset spot we went to was super nice. The vibe was amazing. So many people, but it didn't feel that crowded because there was space to sit. And yeah, it was just, I think, one of the highlights of my time in Porto so far. Definitely worth doing if you're there because the sunset view is just amazing and the river and everything just looks so spectacular. But anyway, walked back on the bridge to the other side now, back in Porto, and stumbled upon this really cute tapas place called Orfeo, which looks really nice. And I've ordered some vegetarian baus for myself, a limoncello, and some hummus. Porto has a ton of really nice cafes, and I'm in one such cafe right now, but this one is special because this is supposedly the oldest cafe in the city. I think it was established back in 1899, so it's quite ancient. And Porto itself actually is quite an old city because it's from the Bronze Age, I think 8 years before Christ, so it's actually one of the oldest cities in Europe. But anyway, I've ordered myself a Porto tonic. So in case you didn't know, port wine, which I'm sure you've heard of, is actually originally from Porto. And I didn't know this, but port wine is actually more of a dessert wine because it's sweet. I'm not really a fan of port wine, but this particular drink I seem to really enjoy. This is the Porto Tonico and it is so delicious.
Vem pra cá, bota ela no avião.
And Another thing you need to try out when you're in Porto or Portugal in general is the Pastel de nata, which is the custard tart that is super popular here. There are some places which are really famous for it. I picked it up from this place called Castro and got some packed. I've actually had so many of these in Lisbon and in Porto as well. This is so delicious. I feel like I could have this every day. In fact, I have been actually having this more or less every day. Morning everyone, it's day 2 in Porto and I'm off to quite an early start today. So today I'm doing a day trip to this place called Douro Valley, which is about 1.5-2 hours from Porto and something that is really worth checking out when you're here. And you can see why, because look at that view behind me. It is so beautiful. This is just the first stop on today's tour. So we started our day at like 8 a.m. was our pickup time. So obviously woke up at 6 a.m. Quickly grabbed breakfast at McDonald's, which is supposedly the world's most beautiful McDonald's. And the tour I've booked is a small group tour through Get Your Guide. So there's only 6 of us in the group, which is really nice. We have a private car which is driving us around, and today we're going to be doing a boat tour on the Douro River and trying out some different types of wine. So I'm really excited for today. Our first stop is this town called Ribeira, which is so stunning. You can see the river from here. After a very scenic drive, we made it to this place called Pinhao, which is so beautiful. The drive itself was so spectacular. We saw so many wineries along the way. And this behind me is the Douro River, and we're going to be taking one of these boats and doing a boat tour for the next hour.
Na esquina e banguelo sorrindo de alegria. Doce Bahia, no alto da ladeira.
This boat is so beautiful and the views are just amazing. We just got our first drink and there's some snacks on board as well.
Tem jacaré e capelinha.
Oh my god, how did you do that?
I fell on a beach.
You fell on the beach?
Yes.
But it's just a scratch, I hope?
It's quite deep of a wound.
Oh, it's
But
quite
yeah,
deep?
But it's getting better.
I hope you get better really
All right,
fast.
thank you
All
so
the best
much.
to
Thank you.
your hometown. Bye-bye, guys.
Oh my god, I think that was one of the nicest boat tours that I've ever done. And I'm not exaggerating because I have been on so many boat tours. But the views and our guide on the boat and the wine, everything was just so good. I think this trip is off to such a great start.
Enquanto na ondina tem jacaré e capelinha.
There are so many nice viewpoints along the way, like this one. Look at the view of the valley over there. So our guide was telling us that this particular region, Douro Valley, has microclimates. So it's 2-3 degrees warmer than Porto, but it feels like it's much warmer. It's actually really hot right now, and this is how it is. Apparently in the summer it goes up to almost 50 degrees. So this particular region is very warm, but that's also why there are so many vineyards here.
Sinto do Abaeté o cheiro do acarajé da cirá.
Our next stop for the day is this winery. So as soon as we got here, we were greeted with a glass of wine, and they took us around this place, showed us how wine is made, gave us a tour of their kitchen, and we're going to be having lunch over here. I'm so glad I booked this tour because this is a small group tour, unlike some other tours that I'm seeing over here, which are much bigger groups. I'm vegetarian and this place isn't really known for its veg food, but they've made some vegetarian arrangements for me, and we're going to be trying out a few different types of wine, including port wine for dessert. So I'm very excited for this. Thank you.
O pivete é o meu filho. Dá troco e fecha o.
We are at the second winery for the day, and I think we're going to try out 4 or 5 different types of wine, regular wine and then port wine as well over here, and they're also going to give us a tour of the winery.
Doce Bahia.
This tour has honestly been so much fun. I really enjoyed this winery. It's so beautiful, first of all. And I think today we've tried out like 10 or 11 different types of wine. So yeah, I've consumed a lot of wine today and the views have been amazing. This place is so beautiful and honestly this tour is so worth it, especially because we booked a small group tour, so it was just perfect. I'm gonna leave a link to the tour that we did in the description, but yeah, this was totally worth it. So like I mentioned, I was in Lisbon before this. I spent 4 days in Lisbon, and the vibe I've been getting in Porto is that the people here don't like Lisbon. They've been very vocal about it, and I, as a tourist, don't see why because I really enjoyed Lisbon. It was amazing. I unfortunately didn't end up vlogging there because I fell sick and I have a horrible knee injury which happened like a week and a half before. But when I was in Lisbon, it was just horrible. I couldn't even walk properly. So I didn't end up vlogging, but I did take like a lot of shots of what I was doing. So I'm gonna add a voiceover now and tell you everything that I did in Lisbon. I started with a magical sunset boat tour that sailed under the iconic 25th of April bridge. Fun fact, Lisbon is often called the San Francisco of Europe and it totally gave me those vibes. From the bridge that looks like the Golden Gate Bridge to the trams and the hilly streets, watching the Bellum Tower glow as the sun went down was just perfect. Then I went on a history-focused walking tour, which was very different from the usual tours I do, but it was so fascinating and made me appreciate the city even more. Of course, I couldn't miss spotting Lisbon's famous yellow trams weaving through the narrow streets. I also spent some time wandering through Alfama, Lisbon's oldest neighborhood. Oh my gosh, Lisbon is very slopey, so there's a lot of like uphill and downhill walks over here. The cobblestone streets and colorful buildings made it so charming, and Lisbon's views are unreal. Oh, and I did an Airbnb photo shoot while I was there, so I got some amazing photos of myself to remember Lisbon by. Tried some pastel de nata and paired it with a shot of ginger, and then there was my day trip to Sintra. The Pinhao Palace was straight out of a fairy tale. It was so windy up there though, look at the clouds move. Strolling through this charming town felt like stepping back in time. We ended the day in Cascais, watching a gorgeous sunset from the cliffs. It was such a vibe. Overall, I had such a great time in Lisbon. So it's my last morning here in Porto and Portugal because I'm taking a flight and heading to a new country in a couple of hours. But I've just come to a Vietnamese restaurant for lunch. I feel like every time I'm traveling in Europe, I reach a point where I kind of just want to have like Asian food with all the flavors. And this place had like a lot of vegetarian options as well. So really excited for this meal. Got myself some Vietnamese coffee as well. And yesterday I kind of just ended up taking the day off to work because I do like these long trips. This one is almost 3 months long. I kind of need to like schedule in work day breaks, so I was just working. I didn't really do much, kind of like went out in the evening and walked around, but yeah, for now very excited for this meal.